is Rosalie Henry, your postpartum doula and newborn care specialist, also known as the seven-figure doula whisperer. So tonight we have a special guest who is a midwife Lenika, who is joining us, and I'm so happy to have her. We had a very exciting show just finished. Today is Jamaica Emancipation Day, and I did not mind giving up some time to the previous guest that was on because they actually were the winners for the festival for 2024. And being a Jamaican, I'm just so excited and happy that we are emancipated. Freedom is great, to be free, and to have this privilege to be on the radio and be able to share, my passion, which is the maternal community, and to have a very great friend with me, midwife Lenika, who is going to talk about, the midwifery world. What is that like, and the difference between a doula and a midwife. You're going to hear some noise in the background. We have a small guest with us, that's her son. But hey, it takes a village, right? And he's here, and we happy, and you're here, we happy. So, midwife Lenika, do you want to go ahead and share with us, tell the audience who you are and what is, what's a midwife, and how you actually help in the birthing community?
All right.
What's your role?
Hi, you guys. My name is Lenika. I go by midwife Nika. And as she said, I brought my little mini me with me. Mama duties never end.
Yeah, nope, entrepreneur life.
So I am a certified nurse midwife. And so I am hospital based at this moment. And my passion is helping women throughout their pregnancy journey and making sure that they get the care that they deserve and the experience that they deserve and they want. And my job is basically in the office as well as the hospital. So when women go into labor and they labor in the hospital, I'm the one that they see. Usually it's a doctor, but in some hospitals there are midwives. So that's a really cool thing that I think a lot of people don't know.
Right.
You can't have a midwife in the hospital setting.
Right. And I would say some people may say, what's the difference between a doula and a midwife? And I always use the phrase that a doula coach and a midwife catch.
Yes. I think that is something we have to tell people a lot. That is a huge misconception out in the birthing community. Doulas do not deliver.
Nope.
Only midwives deliver.
Yes.
And it's not saying that one is better than the other. It's just they're different roles, right? So doulas are amazing. They are there for support emotionally, physically, mentally, because labor is what it is. It's labor. So they're there to help you get through labor, while the midwife is there to help in that sense, but we can't be there one-on-one with everyone all the time. And so because of that, a doula is good to have by your side, and then the midwife comes and delivers the baby.
Yes, awesome. So guests, people are listening. If you have any question for either of us, me being a postpartum doula, or for midwife Nika, please call us. Our number is 678-661-1819. Or if you are actually on the YouTube channel or Facebook, drop your question in the chat and we'll be happy to answer it. So, midwife Nika, can you share a little about what inspired you to become a midwife and how that passion influenced the way you care for your clients, for your patients?
Crazy enough, I didn't even know what a midwife was growing up. So I started off my journey wanting to be a doctor. So I was pre-med, and then I needed to shadow to kind of figure out if that's what I really wanted to do. But in the process, the doctor was busy, so I had to shadow a nurse.
Wow.
And so then I was like, oh, I want to be like the nurse. The nurse is hands-on. So I ended up being the nurse and ended up in labor and delivery. But while I was in labor and delivery, I kind of felt like unfulfilled because I kept seeing the provider catch the baby, and I just felt like I was there temporarily for like an hour or a few hours of the experience, and then it was over. I wasn't really involved, and I wanted to be more involved in the care. So I was like, well, I know I don't want to be a doctor because I want to be more hands-on. So that's when I started actually paying attention to the providers that we had, and I realized most of the providers were midwives. And so I started asking questions, and then I went back to school and I became a midwife.
That's awesome. It is so important to have someone there, to advocate, to help the patient, to advocate, the mom to advocate for herself. And like you said, being a doctor, it's so much different than being a
Hmm.
midwife or even being a doula. So we so appreciate and thank you for what you're doing. So what are some of the common misconceptions about midwifery care that you encounter, and how do you address them with your clients? Because we're
So,
curious.
some misconceptions I face as a midwife. One would be that midwives only deliver at home. So I get a lot of questions about, do I deliver at home? And at the moment, that is something that's not for me.
Right.
I definitely get a lot of experience in a hospital working with high risk patients. So not all midwives work at home. We are able to work in birth centers as well as the hospital. Another misconception would be I get confused with a doula a lot, actually.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, "So you're a doula?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not a doula."
Right.
And then I have to explain what the two roles are. And I think another misconception would be when we're compared to doctors. A lot of people don't realize that a midwife is really basically under a doctor. We have a lot of skill sets that are in ranking with the doctor, except for we don't do surgery, we don't cut. There's certain skill sets we don't use during deliveries, but a lot of our skill sets are actually pretty up there when it comes to delivery, as far as like handling emergency situations and things like that. So a lot of people kind of feel as if like they may not be safe with a midwife,
Midwife.
and that's not the case.
That's true. I appreciate where you said that's not what you do, right? And it's also very important for us to know what do we specialize in, what's our niche, and then you can niche down. Because if you're not comfortable doing home birth, it would be an injustice to the client,
Correct. Yes.
trying to do that because you're not comfortable doing that's not what you like to do.
Right.
But being in the hospital, you can still do the same because you're there for the
Right.
for the patient, to help them to advocate for themselves and to help them to have a better birth or outcome than just not having a midwife
Right.
there with them. So I really honor appreciate you for
Thank
that.
you.
Just knowing what you like, staying in your role,
Yes.
staying in your lane, and being there for your client.
Right.
So how do you think the healthcare system can better integrate the support midwives to enhance maternal care at the moment,
So
and for better outcomes?
for better outcomes. Definitely having a midwife. Period. So increasing, the midwives in the community. A lot of times, there'll be practices or hospitals that don't really that kind of like shun midwives, because they see providers as doctors, and so they don't really have that many midwives in the community, or they don't have regulating rules for certain midwives out there. So, like Georgia is not really a fan of certified professional midwives. So,
Or even doulas too,
or
because
even
we
doulas,
get a lot of
yes.
pushback in the
Exactly. A
hospitals
lot of
for
hospitals
for
give
doulas.
pushbacks for doulas, and what they don't realize is giving these pushbacks with these certain providers only does harm to the community, right?
Right.
Because we do have a lot of maternal deserts out there, and so in some areas, only a certified professional midwife is available, in that area, and so we just have to kind of advocate and try to get them to see that all providers can be on the same page and we can all make a difference.
That's true. And especially with Georgia having the highest rate of maternal mortality rate, you would think that doulas and midwives would be so welcome in
Right.
the health space to help to cut down on that. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back so we can dive deeper into this. And like I said, if you have any question for midwife Nika as a midwife, or for me as a postpartum doula, please call in 678-661-1819. So we are going to continue our conversation. We had a visitor earlier, but that's okay. That's okay. We're moms. and most of the people who are listening to us are hopefully parents, so they do understand. So we will continue talking about the whole maternal health and where we are right now in the state of Georgia with the high maternal mortality rate, and that was one of the reasons why I started my membership program, because I have realized that a lot of people are getting burnt out and not having a sustainable living because we don't get it's like teachers, right? We don't get paid enough for what we do. And the only way that we're going to be able to make an impact on the maternal mortality rate is to reduce the high turnover,
Yeah.
to make sure that people are getting paid. So, based on, from your perspective, what sustainable practice do you think that we can adapt to support the well-being and longevity of the professionals in this field?
Oh, that's a deep one. So some of the things we can do, obviously, is having the resources to train more people so that they can become more professionals in this situation. So more doulas, more midwives.
And take it more seriously.
Yes, and more seriously. Not just for the money, but like have a passion for it so that they stay in it. Really, the issue is just getting enough of us and getting us in the areas where we need to get them, and like, in the maternal desert areas, because the burnout is so real because it's not that many of us. It seems like it in certain little populated areas, but
Right.
it's not. Like, it's not as much as we need, and you can tell it's not as many as we need because we're still having the same problems.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely getting more resources to help get more of us out there.
And I wish, like, even I had a friend who told me the other day, and she was so excited about it, that this particular insurance is now covering doula. And when she broke it down to me, she's like, okay, so I'm like, okay, how much are you paying? Because for me, from my other part of the business, the home care, I used to take Medicaid and I stopped, right? Because Medicaid was paying me to care for an elderly person $18.04 per hour. I was paying my caregivers $20. So you do the math.
Right.
The math is not matching.
Right.
Right. So when she told me that they were offering $800 per birth, I'm like, okay, per birth. She said, but you have to do 4 home visit, either 2 prenatal, then 2 postnatal birth, postnatal visit. Like, that's 4 hours, at least an hour. I'm like, what?
When you do the math.
The math is not matching even
Yeah.
for an hour, because what can you do for a mom for an hour?
Not much.
Nothing
Yeah.
much. Nothing much
When
can
you
do.
think about it, the time is already up.
Exactly, but at the same time, she was at the birth for 72 hours. So 72 hours into $800, that's $11 and some cents per hour. That she hasn't done the birth, the home visits has not been included in that. So how can you live off that? I
Right.
mean, people working at McDonald's is getting more than that, and here you are helping to bring a life, right?
Yeah.
To this hurt, and then that's all you're gonna be. Nobody's gonna want to stay for that. And to what you say, having the passion, even the people who are passionate about it,
They get
right?
tired.
Passion, you cannot take passion to the supermarket.
You're right.
You cannot leave. Like for you have your son,
Yeah.
right? You cannot pay a nanny, an au pair, anybody
Yeah.
to care for your son while you go help a mom to birth her child.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
And there's not enough funding going into this.
Exactly. So even for me, introducing the membership to the community, helping them, because I've gone through it, and introducing the things that I did, I was able to add to my business to make it more sustainable. There are people who still cannot even afford the membership. And my membership is not expensive. I started at $197. I was running a special for 50% off, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get people to sign up because they don't have the money to sign up. But they're out there, helping moms,
Right.
and you can't afford to personal development.
Right.
You cannot afford to put back in yourself because you can't afford it. It's crazy.
You feel like you have to choose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like I keep saying, the only way that we're going to be able to make an impact on the maternal mortality rate is to make sure that people who are doing it have a sustainable living.
Yeah.
You should not have to work two jobs in this industry.
That's true. But the question is how?
Exactly. The thing, like I said, for me, because I've gone through it, right? The first thing you have to do is identify who you want to serve, right? Do you want to be a labor doula? Do you want to be a postpartum doula? And you can even be both,
Right.
right? What else can you add to what you're doing within the same realm to bring more money in without having to go find another job?
Right.
So these are the things that I offer in my membership, because like I said, I've been through it, I've gone through it. Now I identify, like, okay, what else you can add to make it more sustainable. So it's doable, but you need mentorship.
Yeah.
You need to connect with somebody who has gone through it before, who has already have the blueprint. So you now don't have to go reinvent the wheel.
Right. It's all about networking.
All about, like from what we do, it's all about collaboration.
Yeah.
Right? All about networking. And stop seeing each other as competitors.
Exactly. It's so easy to look at what someone else is doing. You're like, oh, I can't talk to that person about, how they got there and things like that because they're my competition, or I can't share ideas with them because they might take it. But ultimately, we have the same goal.
Exactly. And especially if the goal is to make sure that the clients who we care for and who we serve, right, have a better outcome.
Right.
Because as for you as a midwife, after you help after you help a mom, right, and she may be having issue with breastfeeding. Thank you, honey. Yeah, she may be having issue with breastfeeding. That's what she cared to do. If you have the resource, if you have collaboration with a lactation specialist, lactation consultant, now you can refer that person to that mom instead of telling her, I'm sorry, I don't know who can help you. No, she have to go figure out, okay, who is going to help me?
Right. The networking is very, very important in this field because, like you said, like it's all full circle. Like we all have the same goal. We may not be doing the same thing. Like doula, lactation consultant. You may have just like a pediatrician, like anything in the circle to help the main goal, which is to make sure that women have what they need throughout this journey.
Yep, and that's the end goal, to make sure that the parents, the family, the mom that you're caring for have a great outcome. She should not have to now go figure out, okay, who else do I need to call?
Right.
If she's having a, feeling overwhelmed,
Right.
sleep deprived, you're supposed to, as a birth worker, you should have a list of resources that you know can pass on to the mom. So without collaboration and networking, you're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
So it is so important. And that was my topic, I think, last week when I talked about collaboration. And here we are, collaborating. You're a midwife. I'm a postpartum doula. Some midwives do postpartum work, right? And you have some postpartum doula who are both, but just that, at certain time we stay in our lanes because you have to make sure that when you're operating as a midwife, that's who you are. Even as a registered nurse, a midwife, you put your midwife hat on, So as a doula, you put your doula hat on and you make sure you stay in your lane, so the client have the best outcome that they need. So, anything else you want to share? What you have going on in your practice? I know you have an ebook.
Yes. So this will be my second year as a midwife coming up in October. And so as I went through the journey through the first year, got lots of questions. And then going into the second year, many more questions. I felt more comfortable in my skill sets. I made a pregnancy guidebook for women to kind of just go through while they're pregnant to answer those questions. I've got a lot of questions and concerns about patients who are like, well, I didn't know that. Or, I wish I knew that in my first trimester, in my second trimester, or, just questions that they are embarrassed to ask, like, they feel this like stinging burn in their vaginal area. Is that normal? And it's lightning crush, like, so things like that they're kind of embarrassed to ask, but it's completely normal during pregnancy.
Exactly.
So I made a pregnancy guidebook so that women can, see all those questions and answers in the book for them. And it's in an ebook as well as a physical copy. And then I made birth affirmation cards to help people, while they're laboring, to kind of remind themselves, like, I can do this, especially if they want to do it naturally. A lot of people kind of need that motivation as they keep going.
Right.
So I'm really just kind of trying to brand myself, but at the same time, just make sure that I'm making a difference out here. Really,
Right.
like that's the goal.
Yeah, and you are. Sunday we worked together. Sunday at the event, and you demonstrate different things about what goes on during birth. And one of the things that you shared was about the birth ball. And I know a lot of moms were like, "What? I didn't know that there were different size birth balls, and how to choose the correct birth ball." So, education is so important. While I was at the event on Sunday, at one of the table, I was talking to someone and telling them what I do as a postpartum doula, and there was another mom there that was pregnant, and she turned around and she said, "A postpartum doula? What's a doula? I've never heard about a doula." And she's pregnant, and I'm like, "Oh my God, how many other women have not heard about a doula?"
Especially postpartum doulas.
Especially, but she
I
never
didn't even know.
but she didn't even know that. She didn't even know what she's like. What's a doula?
Yeah.
Right. And it just really empowered me to get the message more out there, especially about postpartum care, because there's a lot of time you hear about the birth, the baby shower, the gender reveal, the birth plan, but that's where it stops.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing has been planned for the postpartum journey.
Yeah.
Right. And even in my intake with a client, I always ask, what is your plan? Give me a rundown of what you're thinking. And if they have a child, I'm like, have you thought about who's going to take the child to school? Right? If you have a pet, who's going to care for that pet?
It changes after that.
It changes everything. What is your meal plan? Because sometimes moms don't think about themselves. No, they have a baby and everything is so focused on this baby. And the next thing I always suggest, like, okay, for your registry, if you don't need a lot of stuff.
Right.
What you're going to need is help and support.
Yeah.
So put postpartum care, put support on your registry.
No, I agree, because we focus so much on the journey, and then once the baby's out, it's like a hard stop, and then reality kind of kicks in. Like, okay, everything we've been waiting for is here now.
Yeah.
And then life is still going on. So who's going to cook? Oh, I'm cooking, and I have baby. Oh, and there's a dog. And so everything just kind of piles up, and then that's when we get into postpartum depression.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, we definitely need to think more ahead of time on that postpartum part for sure.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I am always talking about postpartum awareness and postpartum preparedness.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? Because you have to be prepared. And this doesn't only go for mom. This goes for the partner.
Yes.
Because
they can go through it too.
Yeah, they have no idea what to expect. And sometimes this baby is going to be the first baby that they're ever going to be around.
Yeah.
Right? So now for them is like they don't have the support of their partner, and now there's a baby.
Yep.
Right? And I cannot tell you how many dads I've encountered who have gone through postpartum depression.
Yeah. And a lot of times for dads, it's not as obvious as it is for the mom, but you kind of find out talking to the mom.
Yes.
And you're like, I think your partner has postpartum depression. And it's serious. You both can go through it at the same time. And that's just even worse, because you got to get both of you guys out of it and still take care of the baby.
Exactly. And especially for men, you're not supposed to share your emotion in that regard, right? You're supposed to man up.
Right.
What you complaining about? Your wife just have a baby, but he's going through things too. Because for them, it's a lot of unknown, and sometimes they feel left out.
Right.
Because mom is breastfeeding, mom is doing everything. So I always encourage mom, as much as possible, to get them involved. It's okay to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to say, okay, can you watch the baby so I take a bath? Take a shower. Can you make a meal? Because sometimes they're not thinking. So if you don't ask, sometimes they themselves don't know how to get involved.
That was something I had to learn myself. I just didn't know to ask, like, of course you have a partner that's willing to help, but you have to say something.
Right. And then you have the ones who the partner want to help, but mom is just like helicopter, like,
Yeah.
no, I have to do everything.
do it.
Yeah, I have to do it. I have to do it. So a lot of times it's like for me being a postpartum doula, it's a lot of education.
Yeah.
Like you have to go in and, kind of like guide without being, in a good way,
Yeah.
not an aggressive way or anything, especially when they're open and they're asking for help, and just, make suggestions. I always say, can I suggest something?
Yeah.
And just like, talk to them. And sometimes I have to do it separately, like,
Yeah.
talk to dad or partner one-on-one, and then talk to, mom one-on-one. But, I always end up having a great outcome because
Yeah,
they see the benefit of it.
Yeah, sometimes you just need someone to tell you
Exactly.
because you don't recognize it.
Yeah, but I'm I'm so passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for ways to collaborate with others within the birthing community, within the maternal health, because it's a crisis.
It is. It really is. It's really sad when you hear all the stories.
Yes.
And it's just like you hear one and it's not a unique story. Like someone else went through that too, and it's just devastating.
Yeah. And then you have this set of families who can afford the service but don't know about the service,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the ones who they do know about the service but they
can't
cannot
afford it.
afford the service.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I started my nonprofit called Rosalee Cares, where I'm able to give back.
Right.
Right? And sometimes, it is like I can actually go in and help the mom, or I can do it virtually.
Right.
And I also have digital product, like for you who have ebooks, I have e-classes where I can help them, because especially now, a lot of people cannot afford to have someone come into their home to help, but they can afford to learn virtually or digitally.
Yeah. Some form of education.
Some form of education. So with whatever way that I can help, I'm all for helping.
Same.
I'm all for helping, and based on that, like I said, I started my nonprofit. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh yes, I meant to tell you that. I have so much going on in my head. Happy birthday!
Thank you. So, hey, baby.
Thank you, honey. Can you say happy birthday?
Yeah.
You gotta say it. Say happy birthday.
Thank you, sweetie. Yeah. So for that, I posted, on LinkedIn, where I'm asking for, for donation through my nonprofit, where I'm able to give back, because it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, and not only for the mom who need the help, but also for the birth worker who have to go out and help. So I'm reaching out, looking for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Where I can mentor, the birth workers, or, the trainings that we have, but also where we can go in and give back to mom. I actually brought something with me because this month is
breastfeeding month. Yes, it is.
Yes. And we're all for breastfeeding, but we know not every mom is able to breastfeed. So if they can pump, that is good, because the breast milk is best.
Yes,
right?
breast is best.
Yes, breast is best. So if they can pump, so I'm actually giving away
a
handheld Harmony manual breast pump.
Yes.
And also breast milk storage bag. Yes. So if you are in Gwinnett County, Snellville, or DeKalb, wherever I can meet you, and if you need a breast pump or you need some breast storage bag, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to meet up and give it. And I'm gonna give away a set every I'm gonna give a set every time I'm on the air every week. Yeah,
for the month.
Awesome. So 4. So if anyone, please, if you are, my office is in Snellville. So if anyone is in Snellville, or if you, I'll meet you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if you need it, I'll meet you. So please reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to to get this to you.
That's nice.
Yes. So guys, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to connect with you. You can follow me on social media at the Seven Figure Doula Whisperer, or my website is www.mothershelpinghandsatlanta.com. My number is 678-898-4005. And please, if you know of any corporation, any individual, anyone who is willing to give back to the community, to help a mom, right, to help a person within the birthing community to grow their business, right, to scale their business, please reach out and see how we can work together, because it's about time now we stop talking and start doing.
Yeah. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Churches, any corporation, any individual, please let us know, because we have to do something about the maternal mortality rate. You know, we're talking about our sisters,
Yeah.
our daughters, our nieces, our cousins, the women. What is going to happen if we don't do something about this? We're going to...
Yeah.
We're going to be lost.
People are scared. You know, they get scared to give birth because they feel like they're not going to come back out.
They're not going to leave.
Yeah.
And this doesn't only affect the family,
Yeah.
right? It affects the community. Because if you think about a mom dying during birth, what happened to that child? What type of emotional impact? What
Right.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
It is devastating, and I just really wish that, society, we could do something more about it, because it takes a toll not only on the family, on the community,
Yeah.
on the state, on the country.
Yeah.
And all this lead back to mental health.
Yes. Yeah.
All this lead, because I cannot imagine what it feels like for a mom to go home, because it's not only maternal mortality, you have infant,
Yes. We do.
right? So you're talking about a mom going home without her child.
Right.
That could be prevented. And then you're talking about a child going home without its mom. That could be prevented.
Right.
So that take a toll on everyone involved.
We got to do something.
We have to do something. And like I said, it's time for us to stop talking and start doing. Churches, come on now. Churches,
Yeah.
we can't get up every day and talk about, the Bible, we love God, and we're not doing for our community, we're not doing for the people who is in our audience, in our congregation. And we have to do better. We have to do better.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. And like I said, please reach out to me. My number is 678-898-4005, and my website is mothershelpinghandsatlanta.com. So until next time, Rosalee Henry with Chat Bout, where we transform lives one conversation at a time. I'll talk to you guys next week.